Welcome to the Off Balance Podcast, where faith, family, and business collide with your host, Dr. Brooks Deming, Christian life coach, intercessor, and entrepreneur.
Hello, everyone. I'm Dr. Brooks. Welcome to Off Balance, a podcast for adults trying to balance life. Thank you for tuning in each week to learn strategies to help you be the better version of yourself. The sponsor of today's episode is Clothed by J. Christine, a Christian-based clothing store offering quality and affordable clothing for the everyday fashionable conscious woman. Life insurance is a crucial financial tool that provides protection and peace of mind for you and your loved ones. Unfortunately, many people fail to recognize its importance and neglect to purchase a life insurance policy. Today's guest has more than 20 years of experience in the life insurance industry, and they are going to share with us the importance of obtaining a life insurance policy for you and your family. I am so excited to welcome to the show today, Cecil and Tara Hall.
Hey, Dr. Brooks. Thank you so much.
Brooks.
No, thank you guys so much for joining me. I am excited because I know that you guys are going to bring so much knowledge and wisdom to our listening audience on today. So before we get started, Tara, can you just tell the audience a little bit about yourself?
Yes. So my name is Tara Hall, formerly Tara Jones. Just got married. Still newlyweds. About 3 years ago, we celebrated our third anniversary on the 17th of July. I have a background in entrepreneurship. So I owned a coffee house for 7 years. And from about 2014, I got introduced to the life insurance industry and have been doing life insurance ever since. 2 children, 25 and 13. I'm a transplant to Mobile with my husband, born and raised in Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania.
Okay, that is awesome. And guys, you've already heard that I introduced her and her husband. So now, Cecil, can you just tell the listening audience a little bit about yourself?
Well, I'm sorry that my introduction is not as intriguing as hers. My name is Cecil Hall. I'm actually born and raised here in Mobile. I actually met Tara when I moved from here to Pittsburgh, actually with the same company, doing insurance together and so forth. Myself, I've actually been an insurance agent for the past 14 years, so I'm very seasoned. Combined, we have about 21 years of experience combined with insurance and so forth. What brought me into this opportunity really was when I was younger, my dad was never able to go to any basketball or football games. We didn't go on many vacations and so forth. So I prayed that when I became an adult and had a wife and kids of my own, that I could get into an opportunity to where I could make money and be able to travel and spend time with my family and not just have to work. And, this opportunity allows me to do that as well as help people not have to have a burden on their families with, funeral expenses and, having money to pay for the house and so forth for someone.
See, that is really good. And when I learned of your company, I really wanted to have you guys on the show because what I'm noticing is a lot of people are not planning. They're not doing any type of life planning. They don't have wills, no type of life insurance policies. It seems like that may have stopped with our parents' generation because it seems like the newer generations, they are not taking it serious when it comes to, just planning for what happens after they pass. So can you guys just talk about your company and what you do and what type of services that you offer?
Yes. Well, we know that most people, unfortunately, they wait for a huge life event to take place before they start to look into life insurance. And so what Cecil and I are attempting to do is be proactive, prepare people, because the fact of the matter is not one person with breath is going to make it out of here alive. And so knowing that to be a fact, we want to spread the word. We want to make families more knowledgeable, not just the mom, the grandmother, the children, families. So that's our approach. And with the product that we offer, we are able to offer a living will. We're able to offer living benefits, because people do come down with different illnesses and they still have life ahead of them. So with critical illness riders, if you get cancer, if you become terminally ill, if you have a stroke, a heart attack, you can actually leverage some of the funds from your policy to live off of. We offer policies where you put money into them, you can get a huge return on your investment. So that's what he and I are attempting to do, is to be public, speak with people about being proactive. Like we all see GoFundMe's, we see, people begging strangers for money to bury them. I mean, there's just no longer is there any level of dignity. And so we want to bring that back into the world, so to speak, passing away with dignity.
And that's something too that I believe, a lot of people now, they like to buy what they want and beg for what they need. And I really push that message to people. Don't be that person that buy what you want and beg for what you need, because like Tara said.
And see, that's really good. So you guys have so much experience in this industry. What is some of the reasons that people say they may hesitate or kind of hesitant when it comes to getting their own policies?
We all at some point are going to pass away. And from my experience, what I have seen is that families don't break apart because there wasn't a $100,000 policy left behind. They're falling apart because there wasn't a $5,000 policy left to help pay for a cremation or a funeral. Now you're left with GoFundMe or fish fries or chicken sales and so forth. And that should be embarrassing when you have a Mercedes-Benz sitting in your parking in your yard, or you have 70-inch big screens on the wall, And
it's actually, I think part of it is because it's a misconception. A lot of people believe that you pass away when you become old, old age. Because if you notice the trend, the trend in the language when people are posting these GoFundMes, they were young. It was unexpected. We didn't know. Well, if Cecil and I can have an impact on that and get the world to begin to take a closer look at accidents happen. People do pass away prematurely. Not everyone has the luxury of living into their 50s, 60s, 70s, and 80s. And so, again, to get people to prepare for that day whenever the unexpected takes place.
Yeah, and they're not realizing that, especially even in my situation, my husband has been the primary breadwinner. And so if my husband was to die, then that means I now have to deal with the mortgage. I now have to deal with the car loans, all of that stuff that he would normally deal with his income. And so it would be beneficial to him to have a substantial life insurance policy to make sure that we can sustain the quality of life that we had when he was here with us. So I think a lot of people don't understand what the point of the policy is. Of course, it's to make sure that we put you away nicely, but it's also to make sure that not only does the person have to deal with your loss, but now they have to deal with foreclosure. They have to uproot the kids. They have to try to move, downsize. So it's a lot of benefits to making sure that you do estate planning. And so a lot of people, I think too, how like sometimes they say, Google it. I think a lot of people also have misinformation. They're listening to maybe their friends or people that just don't really know about life insurance for them to feel like they wouldn't be able to get a policy because of pre-existing health conditions or something of that nature. So when you guys meet with your clients, are you talking about the different laws? Like, are you educating them? So what would a consultation look like with you?
This may be funny. They're not dead yet. They're not dead yet. These are things that I hear, whether it be here in Alabama, Pennsylvania, Ohio. These are things that people say they're not dead yet. But some of the other reasons, people don't know what they don't know. They think because they have high blood pressure, they're diabetic, they have some other type of health ailment. They think that they can't qualify for life insurance. And that's not true. 100 life insurance companies coast to coast. we happen to represent some that allow us to help anyone. It doesn't matter if you have HIV, you're diabetic, you're sickle cell, you're overweight, maybe you were incarcerated at some point in time, but we're able to help everyone. But a lot of people, they don't believe in it. A lot of people don't believe in having life insurance. They believe that, hey, when I die, my wife, my son, my daughter, my husband, it's their responsibility to take care of me.
Because they've taken care of you all of.
And see, and that is so good. And then you also mentioned earlier, you said something about like critical care and different types of, I guess that would be like power of attorneys and things in play. Can you talk more about that too?
So a typical consultation looks like we want to make sure that at the end of the day, this is something that you're able to afford. Life insurance isn't life insurance if you can't pay for it. And so that is another, to piggyback on what he said, that's another reason why people don't have life insurance, because they think it's just entirely too expensive. We have policies for $9, for $15, for $20, and so we want to know about the kids. We want to know about the grandkids. We want to know about your income. We want to know, do you have cable? Do you, what are your extracurricular activities? Do you smoke? So we can use all of that as our ammunition, so to speak, to say, let's look at this differently. Okay. If we can cut back on this credit card, close this credit card, that right there is going to save you this amount of money. If we can take the cable from $200 or $300 down to $100, that's going to save you some money. If we can say, don't buy the pack of Newports, roll your own, that's going to save you some money. So we want to get a full picture of who you are. We want to know, do you have a home? Do you not have a home? And, something that you said that it kind of stood out was that it sounds to me like you have a lifestyle that, a lot of people just aren't blessed to have. They don't have the lifestyle where they would need a policy to cover the mortgage, to cover the kids' tuition, to cover the kids' college tuition, to cover the kids' middle school and high school tuition. They just simply need a final expense policy that is going to be a whole life policy to cover their burial expenses. So because we know that funerals go up 3 to 5% every year, oftentimes we're not looking to get people to get these lavish policies. We're looking to get these folks to get $5,000 and $10,000 policies, because guess what? Something's better than nothing. We want you to cover your final expenses, your burial, again, so that burden isn't left on anyone else. Because when you're trying to, in 2 days, have to come up with $6,000 to $10,000, sometimes it's virtually impossible.
Right. I also think that, qualifying, that with life insurance, that's the biggest thing. Qualifying. Do you qualify? And a lot of people, especially older people, let me speak older people. Older people are used to those older policies where the agent came out with the long brown car and they took your $3 and $4 and so forth. And a lot of those people got burned, where that agent didn't turn their money in. So they ended up passing, and the family found out that, hey, grandma, granddad, or auntie, mom had no insurance coverage and so forth. But with present day, you have so many different options out here that could help yourself as well as your family. People like to think of life insurance a lot, they're associated with death, but they don't associate it with, if you have a household that is ran off of $100,000, husband, wife, and the husband passes away, that household income is now decreased by 50% overnight. Now, you have to figure out, can I afford the car note? Can I afford the mortgage? Can I afford the private schooling? My son plays football. How do I get him to practice from practice? You have a lot of added expenses that are going to come that you now have to some kind of way make a way for it. Maybe you're a spouse that doesn't work. I was reading a Harvard study that stated that a A stay-at-home spouse, the things that they do by staying at home equates to like $200,000 a year income. So imagine that's what you do. You're a stay-at-home mom or dad, but you're dependent on your spouse's income and they pass away. What are you going to do? And we don't think about these types of things when we're planning or when we're not planning, per se. So, these are some things I think that people, no matter if you're 15 or if you're 65, you need to think about this.
So I like to think that we have both ends of the spectrum covered. He and I are able to cover both ends. We're able to cover people that have these lavish lifestyles and need to protect that lifestyle. People that are dependent on breadwinner's income if that income leaves. And then we're able to cover the lifestyle where people are living, paycheck to paycheck. And they just want something in place so that on the worst day of their loved one's life, they are not stuck holding the bag trying to come up with $5,000, $10,000 because their loved one, their beneficiary, they know that they're struggling too. So we're able to cover. I love how he and I have products that range from one end all the way to the other. That range from a $15 policy, or I should say $1,000 premium policy, up to a $5 million premium policy.
And see, that is so good because I can remember years ago, people were so hesitant to get life insurance because they heard, horror stories of, back in the day, the policy didn't pay out and all of that money was forfeited. So when you get people that are kind of just unsure about it, like what do you guys do to kind of help them to learn more about the laws of today?
Yeah. So again, the old way of life insurance was, hey, you got to die for this policy to pay. Now, life insurance has what's called living benefits. So let's say that you are diagnosed with a cancer and you're given 12 months or less to live. That would be called a terminal illness. With policies today, let's say you had a $20,000 policy. With policies today, you could access 80% of that money while you are still alive to help pay for medical bill or household bills. So out of that $20,000 policy, you could accelerate $16,000 of it right now because you were given 12 months or less to live. And you need to pay for your chemotherapy, or maybe that took you off from having to work, but now you have to pay your household bills. You can use that money from your life insurance policy right now.
You just want to fulfill that bucket list.
But let's say that you have a chronic illness. Let's say you've been diagnosed with a debilitating arthritis, rheumatoid arthritis, and you cannot perform two of the activities of daily living, such as feeding yourself or bathing yourself, or going to the restroom by yourself, just going to the next room by yourself. Again, if that happens for a 90-day consecutive period, guess what? You can accelerate money from that life insurance policy to help pay for those medical or household bills. But let's say you have a critical illness. You have a severe stroke. You have a heart attack or something of that nature. Guess what? You have that life insurance policy with living benefits. You can use the money from the life insurance policy that you may not have in your savings account, but you have in this life insurance policy to, again, help pay for those medical or household bills.
That is so good because it is very sad because due to ignorance, lack of knowledge, and due to just, people that doesn't have the experience and they're trying to give advice. That's why it's very important to make sure that you are getting advice from people that have gone through the training, that they know the laws, they know everything, because a person can literally have you out here with not having insurance and it's just because of ignorance. Like they didn't know, so they gave you wrong information. And so that's why I'm so glad that you guys are here and that you're talking about this. So I also noticed that a lot of people don't put their children in any type of policy. And I'm not sure if it's because they feel like their children is not contributing to the household, or they may feel like that expenses to bury a child is, very affordable, or they may feel like something can't happen to their children. So do you guys see a lot of people getting insurance for their children, or do you kind of see like the aftermath of them not having it?
You have to, and when this happens a lot with both of us, we have to learn things. So you have to unlearn some stuff. And what I mean by that is no life insurance company takes your money. What happens is this. You could have a person that, let's say the person smokes, right? Usually as a person smokes. And on that insurance application, they say, well, I don't smoke, so they can get a lower premium, okay? And let's say that person dies within the first 13 months of that policy. The insurance company has a legal right to go back and look at the application from its inception to see whether any material fact lies on that application. So you pass away, and the insurance company wants to do an autopsy of the body, and it comes back that, hey, Cecil has been smoking for the past 13 years, according to my lungs. So what would happen, that policy that was initially written, because you lied on the application, what they would do, they would give you all of the premium that you paid back. Because you lied on the policy. You don't lose what you paid into the policy. You just don't get the benefit of the policy because you stated inaccurate information on the policy and so forth. So yeah, it's no such thing as I paid into this policy and I lost everything that was paid into it. That's not true. But then you have other policies where you may be with a company and you have a congestive heart problem, right? And with that policy, you had to have a 2-year waiting period, which means you had to live 2 full years before the full death benefit will pay out. But if you were to pass by accidental death causes, it'll pay out in its entirety. But if you died in the first year of the policy, it will pay back to your family all the premiums paid plus interest. Whether that be 7, 8, 9, 10%. And the same thing will happen in the second year of the policy. It'll pay back 7, 8, 9, 10% interest plus whatever premium that you paid into it. But once you have lived the full 2 years and 1 day, the full death benefit would apply. But that's not for everyone. You know, it's different underwriting criteria for different people and so forth. So between us, we can help everyone that may have a congestive heart issue. They may have a kidney disease or liver disease or, you know, something of that nature. And we're still able to help those people get day one coverage. But then you have people that, you know, they may have HIV and they think, oh, no one is going to help me. But guess what? We can help you too.
I am so glad that you talked about pre-existing health conditions because I don't know if it's because of ignorance or just lack of knowledge that people that have been diagnosed with medical issues don't try to get life insurance, especially post-diagnosis. So thank you so much for sharing that. Also, can you talk about if people are insuring their children? Because I see a lot of people also asking for donations to bury children. So what is your experience with people getting policies for their children?
I'm speaking for me. I see more aftermath than anything. You know, I had this is a true story. I had a lady about 8 months ago. She called me up and she stated that she wanted a $150,000 policy on her 13-year-old child because, so I asked, I said, well, at 13, why would you want such a big policy? And she said to me, in the event that something happens to him, I need something to help take care of me. And I said, are you serious? Are you serious right now? You know, that should be the other way around. You know, but these are the things that I hear, that we hear, you know, but a lot of people, they don't get insurance on their kids because, again, they're just not educated. Or they say, and you know, this, I hope this doesn't offend anyone the wrong way, but they're just not responsible. They say this, my mother has insurance on me. My mother has insurance on my child. That's not your mother or your father's responsibility. It's yours. So a lot of parents don't want the responsibility of having a policy on their kids in which they could have a policy in which they could have the policy paid in full in its entirety in 10 years. Or they can have a policy on their kids paid in full in its entirety in 20 years. So you have a 10-year-old child that you can get a $50,000 policy on that's paid in full by the time they're 20 or by the time that they're 30. It's just taking the responsibility of saying, hey, mom or dad may not have done this for me, but guess what? I'm going to do it for mine.
And that is so good. And then there has always been a misconception when it comes to the different types of policies. I know a lot of people will push term. A lot of people will say stay away from whole life. Can you guys just kind of touch on what's the difference between the two types of policies?
Are you ready to take your personal or professional growth to the next level? Introducing my tailored coaching experience, a personalized journey designed to help you achieve your goals and unlock your full potential. With 3 in-depth 90-minute coaching calls, we'll work together to create a customized plan tailored specifically to your unique needs and aspirations. Whether you're navigating a career transition, launching a business, or seeking clarity in your personal life, this program is designed to guide you towards success. With actionable strategies and unwavering support every step of the way, you'll receive a coaching roadmap, a personalized step-by-step plan to keep you focused and aligned with your goals. Take the first step toward your transformation by visiting brooksdeming.com.
There's not a one-size-fits-all insurance policy. You know, you have whole life, you have term life, you have universal life. You know, there's not a one-size-fits-all policy for anyone. Everyone has different needs. For instance, you know, whole life is a permanent policy. That means that your premium will never go up, your benefit will never decrease. Everything is guaranteed to stay the same for you. So you're not worried about any changes, okay? Term insurance is a temporary coverage. Right? If you get it for 5 years, 10 years, 15 years, 20 years, 30 years, it's only for that amount of time. The purpose of term insurance is pure protection. That's all it is, just pure protection for that amount of time, whether it be 5, 10, 15, 20, 25, 30 years. But with term insurance, there are different policies with term insurance. For instance, you may have an annual renewable term, which means each year that you're older, the premium for that term policy changes. But then you have a term policy where you may get a 5-year, 15-year, 20-year, 25, 30-year. That premium stays the same for that amount of time. But once that next year changes over, guess what? Your premium changes. Then you have what's called return of premium term, which is my favorite term, which means with the traditional term policy, guess what? You have to die to get anything from it for your family. With the return of premium term policy, let's say you had a 20-year, 30-year return of premium term policy. Guess what? If you don't die within that 20-year, 30-year term period, guess what you get back? You may get back 75% to 100% of your premium payment. So let's say within a 30-year period, you paid $25,000 into that policy. Guess what you're going to get back? $25,000. So each policy has its place in a person's life. It's not a one-size-fits-all. Just because your sister has a $200,000 term policy doesn't mean you need one. She may have a mortgage. You don't have a mortgage. She may have a husband. You don't have a husband. You know, you may have a custody agreement that requires you to have insurance for your babies for the next 10 years. Guess what you'll want to get? A 10-year term policy. But for you that just need a policy, that may not be the best thing for you because, again, if you're 20 now and you get a 30-year term policy in 30 years, if God allows you to live, you're 50. But guess what has changed in that 30 years? Your age and possibly your health. So it behooves you as you're younger to get something permanent to where it never changes on you, no matter if your health changes or if your age changes.
And that's what I instruct all my clients. If you have a term policy, you absolutely want to have a permanent whole life policy because at some point that coverage is going to begin to increase. And then ultimately that plan will expire. What you don't want to happen is you do not want to be in your 60s, if you can avoid it, 70s and 80s, attempting to buy a whole life policy because whole life insurance is regulated by the state. So they make up these rates. The insurance companies themselves don't make these rates up. So, and term insurance is very cheap. Typically, that's why people are attracted to it. Whole life insurance, on the other hand, is much, much more expensive. So when you're 70 years old, you don't want to just be applying for a whole life policy. And that's going to be, I don't know, for a $10,000 policy, $98. When if you had gotten that same policy when you took out that term insurance when you were much younger, that would already be in place, and you would have spent $20, $30 for that same $10,000 in coverage.
That is so good, because I know just even when talking to people like in workplace and just different places, they always say, well, I heard that whole life was a scam and, just different things of that nature. But I don't think we realize that at some point that term policy will expire. And I was talking to my husband because my father-in-law is 81 years old. And I told my husband, so if you get a term policy and your dad is 81, 9 times out of 10, you're probably going to live to be in your 80s, which like your dad. So we're going to be in trouble. So, yeah.
Yes. And you have to look at that you're very right. Longevity. When you have longevity in your family, you have to look at that to say, well, I have longevity in my family, so the chances of me passing away at 70, mom lived till she was 94, dad lived into his 90s, grandma lived till she was 104. Some people are blessed with that lineage to have that type of longevity. So again, like you just said, that policy is going to expire. Let me say something. We know that only 2%, this is a fact, that on average, only 2% of term policies ever pay out. And the companies know that. So they're okay with that because you've been paying that $20 term policy for the last 30, 40 years. So they're okay with that. 12 months, once a month for 20 or 30 or 40 years. And then all of a sudden that pie in the sky, poof, it's gone. Because you've outlived the policy in the sense of the, help me find the word.
Find the word.
The term, you've outlived the term, right? And then, or what they do is, when you turn 70, typically the payments will increase. So you've been paying $20 for the last 40 years, and then they send you a bill for $364. Well, they know most people are going to say, I can't afford that, and cancel it. So that's what happens at that point. A lot of people are stuck because they didn't invest in that permanent policy when they should have early on. So now they're stuck in their 70s and 80s once those policies expire, trying to get a whole life policy.
I want to go back to something that you just said also about, people saying the whole life is a scam. That type of rhetoric is things that they listen to different financial advisors, or they listen to people that are pushing a product. They're not actually sitting down with you asking and finding out what is it that you need as an individual, but you're talking to a person that is pushing a product because they're trying to get paid, and it's all piggybacking off her. 98% of term policies, they never pay out. And I see a lot of that with also people that say, I have insurance through my job. So I ask a question. Are you going to retire from your job first or die? Because guess what? Most people that retire from their job, guess what they don't have anymore? Life insurance. Guess what else? If you don't work 40 hours at your job, guess what you don't have? Life insurance. Guess what else? If you get into a fight at your job, guess what can happen with your life insurance with your job? Because fighting is not a part of your job requirements, you lose it. You lose it.
Yeah, I don't really think people consider that. I think people go with the life insurance through their job because a lot of the times you don't have to get any physical, any blood work or anything like that done. So they'll just kind of sign up for it and they'll think that this is, so much stability or security for my family, not realizing we can get laid off. That job can file bankruptcy. It's so much that can happen with our employment. And so, yeah, I definitely, although it's good to have, I wouldn't let that be my only means of insurance.
Yeah, they have it. They get it because of price. And guess what? We specialize in simplified issue coverage. That means there's no blood work. There's no urine samples and so forth. Only health questions. Now, for those people that maybe want $1 million policy or something, yes, we offer products that have medically underwritten components to it, but the majority of our clients, there's no blood work. It's only health questions. So you don't have to worry about anyone swabbing your mouth, or you have to urinate in a cup or anything, and the needles going in you. We take care of you, so you don't have to worry about that. But that's a big thing that people are concerned about. Do I have to do a paramed? Do I have to go to the doctor? No, we take care of all of that also.
But listen, guys, just because they have that type of policy don't mean you lie on your paperwork.
Well, listen, I've been in people's houses where I see the oxygen tanks and smell cigarettes, and they say don't smoke. I smell it.
That just made me think of something that people, so there are companies, let me say this, most companies that you purchase insurance through the mail or over the phone is going to have an automatic 2-year waiting period before that policy pays out in its entirety. And the reason they do that when you purchase through the mail or over the phone is because they can't see you, nor did they run the prescription check. So like he was saying, when you're face to face with the client and you see that, but if it's over the phone, you can't see that. And so people need to make sure they are talking with the right company that can run their prescription history check, because if they're healthy, it makes no sense for them to have a 2-year waiting period. But because they purchased it through the mail, or they called, because a lot of people don't want to be sold. They don't want people calling them. So they've reached out and called a company. The company can't see that they're bedridden, even though they're not bedridden. The company's going to say you're bedridden. So they're going to naturally put a 2-year waiting period on that policy.
If to piggyback off it, that's called a guarantee issue policy. And that means that there are no health questions. It's nothing. You just say, hey, I'm Cecil, I'm 41, give me 10,000. And a lot of people get those policies because they think it's just that easy. They don't read the fine print. You have to live 2 years before it pays out. Hey, it may be marketed to you as a whole life policy, but guess what? It's a term policy. So it goes up every 3 years, every 5 years, every year. But then at a certain age, it cuts you off. And I meet a lot of people that they're that person too, because they're so mean. They don't like anyone. They think everyone is trying to scam them, take something from them, and they'll buy an inferior product to protect their family because they don't want to talk on a professional that could help them take 20 minutes.
That is so sad. But I am happy that you guys are actually educating people and you are breaking down those just the poor rumors, basically, because when it comes to life insurance, there have been a lot of rumors. Like I can remember even growing up, just the crazy things that I would hear about, oh, that insurance man is no good. And basically what happened was you had people that were taking advantage of lower income communities, and they were coming in and they were really, unfortunately, misrepresenting the products that they were selling. And so you did have a lot of people that were unfortunately, lied to, manipulated, and deceived. And so it kind of put a poor taste in people's mouth when it came to insurance, not realizing that wasn't the insurance company, that was the person, that was coming out. That's just like anyone can be a bad person in a position. So we can't just say, hey, all cops are bad or all, doctors are bad. We have to look at that person that was an isolated situation. So I'm so glad that you guys are, just bringing awareness to this. So I have enjoyed you guys. So I want to ask you a question for both of you. If you can leave the audience with one wise, let's say one thing of wisdom, what would it be?
To lower your defenses. Don't think all insurance people are out to get you, because they're not. We know that there are unscrupulous insurance agents, but we want you to lower your defenses so that we can actually share the product knowledge with you, whether you get a policy or not. We want to educate you on the process and the insurance that you have and what's available to you. Because again, it does no one any good if you have a policy and you don't know what you have. Because when you don't know what you have, you can be taken and you will be taken advantage of. So we can't blame the unscrupulous agent. We have to put some of that blame on ourselves with making sure we know and understand back and forth this policy that we have, so that no one will ever be able to come behind and replace that policy, not based on our understanding.
That is so good. And Mr. Cecil, what would be your words of wisdom?
Life insurance is dope. Don't just protect your family with guns and knives, but protect your family with life insurance also.
That is really, really good. That is really good. So do you guys have anything that's coming up, like any type of workshops or anything that you're doing that you would like to let the listeners know about?
Well, no, we don't have any workshops right now. Basically, we're in the field and over the phone, working with clients, whether it be leads or, that we purchase or people that we beat. But currently right now, we don't have any workshops or anything going on right now. We are looking to hire people that are looking to serve the communities, whether it be in Alabama, Mississippi, Louisiana, Tennessee. Guess what? All 50 states. We're looking for you. We're looking for people that want to help people and do what we do.
Okay, so if someone wanted to get in touch with you guys, how would they do that?
412-736-0822.
And my number is 251-381-7723. And you can always contact me on Facebook, Cecil Hall.
Well, guys, you heard it here. We have had such an amazing time with them on today. I will make sure that I have their social media profiles as well as their contact information on my website. And so I really encourage each and every one of you that are listening to make sure that you do some estate planning for your family. Like they said, whether you just need a policy to make sure that you have the proper financial stuff in place to be buried, or if you need a policy to make sure that your family can sustain their lifestyle upon your death, make sure you reach out to them, because this is something that is very important. And unfortunately, younger generations are just not adhering to it. I don't know if we feel that we're invincible or if we feel like we're going to live forever, but that is not the case, guys. Everyone is going to die. And so you don't want your family to be crying and trying to figure out how they're going to go forth as far as taking care of themselves. So again, guys, I appreciate you so much for being here. You have brought so much knowledge today. So thank you so much. This concludes today's episode. Thank you for tuning in. I hope the information presented adds value to your life. Be sure to follow me on Instagram, Facebook, and YouTube at Brooks Deming. The sponsor of today's episode was Clothed by J. Christine, a Christian clothing store offering quality and affordable clothing for the everyday fashionable conscious woman. To learn more about today's guest, visit brooksdeming.com. Until next time, be resilient.
Thanks for joining. Please rate this episode and share this podcast with your family and friends. To learn more about your host, visit www.brooksdeming.com.
Hi, I'm Tiffany of Tiffany Brown Designs. With over 20 years of creative experience across industries, I create and elevate brands one design at a time through intentional graphic and brand design, polished film and video editing, and creative artistry. Even the music you're hearing right now, that was produced by me. I also create custom tracks for websites, intros and outros, and content. So what are you waiting for? Visit TiffanyCBrownGD.com and let's bring your vision to life.